Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. So I think alts are back, guys. Just kidding. Actually, I think Bitcoin's going to take a little dip. So I want to talk about some alts. Most of this is going to be ABC analysis, meaning very basic stuff. Some of it's higher level cloud stuff. There's pearls of wisdom sprinkled throughout, I guarantee. So it's going to be a long video, but I think it's worth it, especially if you're a newer trader, to take a look at some of this stuff. This is my donation address for Bitcoin, should you find this useful. I don't do these vids for donations, but throwing that out there. I know I'm going to lose most of you towards the end, so I'll say this now. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. Likes and dislikes are very important for the YouTube metrics. As far as timestamps are concerned, in the description of the video you'll see timestamps for all these coins, so you don't have to flip through 40 minutes if you don't want to. Alright, so let's get started with bit crystals, something I forgot even existed. Again, what you're looking at here is busy, I know, but most of this is prior annotations. So basically, everything I'm going to show you is more or less retroactive analysis. A lot of it's reactive, proactive, however you want to say that. But it's important to look at the stuff you said weeks ago to see if it actually happened, if you're not trading it. So for instance, for me, I'm not an alt trader. I generally don't trade alts at all. I treat all alts equally, which is like trash. I don't know anything about devs or fundamentals or mining or of anything. Okay, so this is maybe the most unbiased analysis you'll see of all these coins, just because I don't have any skin in the game, which is a good and bad thing. But and I'm not beholden to any coin, blah blah blah. So anyway, BCY. Before I was saying 3 drives, bear flag. It broke down pretty much to the target exactly a few days later. So at the time I was saying, look out for continuation versus reversal. Check back in a few weeks. It's been a few weeks. Alts have just been slaughtered across the board. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you that, but the boom in Bitcoin definitely is hurting the alts, and I can see that on the charts. So a lot of this analysis is going to be cloud, like I said. So here what I'm seeing is not necessarily bottomy stuff, but targets should a reversal happen. There's no strength on this chart that I see, other than continuation for bearish momentum. What I'm talking about here is the Kijun bounce. So this is the Tenkin, this is the Kijun. Calling it a gift because anytime you see this many wicks into a resistance zone and you don't short or you don't see it or whatever, you're really missing a great trade. So this isn't saying go short now, it's just saying back here, this was a great trade. So in the future, look for those sort of trades where you see multiple wicks into the Kijun, either above or below the cloud. That screams continuation, okay? BELA coin, something I've never heard of. Something a coin, not many coins have done, I think, going from 0 for a year or more, being resurrected from the dead, okay? Hitting 2789, which is miraculous. Probably all in low volume, but whatever. So that's super interesting, BELA coin. But this was actually the most difficult coin to TA just because it was so all over the place. I couldn't even put a cloud on here and use Ichi cloud analysis with a straight face because it was just bonkers. But the pitchfork actually fit really well as far as buy and sell signals. So the general idea of a pitchfork is you buy in the lower quartile and you sell in the higher quartile. And you can see how well that's worked out 4 times, both directions, okay? So buy zone, sell zone, keep it simple, ABC, especially with most of these alts. BitShares, not really any signs of strength on the weekly, sort of a falling wedge situation, which is a reversal bottomy pattern, but definitely not a buy at this point in time on the weekly anyway. Your targets would always be the Tenkin and the Kijun for resistance, but doesn't look like a buy. If we go to the weekly again on the pitchfork drawn weirdly, again your resistance would be the midline, the median line here. So you can see it's diag, it sort of changes as the days go on. Sell here, buy here. The daily, again, so generally what I like to do is stay on the high time frames for like big picture ideas and then leave those ideas on the chart for the lower time frames. For here, for example, if you're just looking at this, you don't know where the support generally is. But based on the pitchfork, you can see supports here. This is definitely a bearish continuation picture. Your targets for bounces would be, again, Tenkan and Kijun, but I'll say this over and over on a lot of these charts, but when you see repeated Tenkan bounces, when you see wicks that don't make it past this blue line, that says that it's super bearish. Basically that it's not making it past even the shortest EMA or moving average type of line. So this is Dash on the daily. A little busy, I know, but pretty interesting. Some of this annotation is from last video. Basically what I was saying, when you get a recross above the cloud, that's a long signal. When you get a Kumo breakout below the cloud, that's a short signal. The Kumo breakout below the cloud happened, and then you got the Kumo twist here, 30 periods ahead on this candle. So your earliest short signal would have been these candles here, and your last short entry signal for maximum profits would have been here. Then if we zoom out basically to current time scale, I'm drawing this resistance line here. There are some signs of strength. The lagging span from the cloud is going into price, which says that bearish momentum is slowing. You're getting a bull div sort of picture. I'll say that on a few of these charts as well. This is a nice W bottom as well, chart pattern. Almost an Adam Eve, which is even better, the 2x bottom. So your target would be somewhere up here. Overall, mildly bullish on Dash. Some other things to look at would be where your asks would be. I would put my asks around the Kijun cloud area with a stop above this wick, for instance. And then ultimate target is definitely this flat Kumo. Anytime you see a flat cloud, that's a 50% fib, which is a high probability retracement. If I look at Dash on the 4-hour, again, why do I care about Dash on the 4-hour? Because the daily is showing signs of strength, so I want to zoom down and look at those candles to see where my entry can be, should be, will be, where my targets, some better targets as well. So I'm saying here that there was a bit of a bear div playing out, as well as flat Kumo. Again, anytime you see flat Kumo, price is going to want to go to that zone. It's a 50% retracement. The longer the flat Kumo, the higher the probability that that zone will get hit again, because that means that the price stood flat basically in that zone for a long time. And you'll see this on a lot of charts. Bullish entry checklist, price above cloud, bullish Kumo twist, bullish TK cross, lagging span above cloud and price. So as far as a long entry is concerned, basically all cylinders are go. I definitely strongly consider a long for this. Targets being the previous flat Kumo here, and then this level here, this top here. Someone asked about DASHUSD Tether. So basically the same picture. Again, all signs are pointing to bullish as far as the cloud is concerned. Bear div's playing out now. Your bounce target would be the Kijun. Your bullish targets would be previous highs and or this triangle point. Anytime you see the point of a triangle, that's always going to be a support or resistance level. Doge. I almost forgot Doge. I had to go back and do a chart for Doge because Doge is just, I mean, how can you not love Doge? You have to chart Doge. So ABC analysis for this. Buy zone, sell zone. Don't overthink it. It's not really, if you're into long-term holding, go for it. But it looks like within, this is the weekly, so within 6 weeks, you get a high from the buy zone once it gets out of the buy zone. So, you know, buy down here and hold for 6 weeks once it starts moving. That's all I'd say about that. Cerium Classic, 4-hour. Cerium Classic, so kind of interesting. We had a bear div that didn't play out, so it got canceled and went higher. We're still sort of in flag mode, so this is kind of a falling wedge. I'd expect this to break up, even though there's a bit of a TK disequilibrium, which says this is a little overbought. There wasn't another bear div, so that's a good sign for more up. What I added here was a fractal of this move here. So what I'm saying is possible third drive into resistance. Why is that? Why is this resistance? Because of this wiki business. Anytime you see wicks especially multiple wicks or a long wick, I just consider that resistance. And then another part of this would be like a bounce on this RSI trend line. So overall, ETH Classic still bullish, definitely a buy, I think, at least to this zone. Ethereum 4 hour. So I'm showing the 4 hour before I show the higher time frames because I posted this chart on Twitter a few days ago. What I was saying was don't go long just yet because you need to wait for the Kumo twist and you need to wait for the Kijun to catch up with price. And you can see that by waiting, it really saved you from entering a long that was a bad entry, basically. Then if I zoom way out on the daily and start to prognosticate, I get some Adam Eve business. So Adam is always a V, and the Eve is a soft U. So you can think of it as the male and the female double bottom. Targets of these patterns are always the bottom to the neckline and then the neckline up in that distance. So that brings us somewhere in this level, which is also flat Kumo. If it does not bounce at this level again, I'd expect support somewhere down here based on this previous wiki business. Again, wiki business is always support or resistance. Factum daily, showing you this because I drew out a nice cup and handle on the last video that never materialized. This is a great example of waiting and being patient for patterns. If it doesn't make it past the resistance, the neckline, whatever you want to call it, that's not a long entry signal. That's why you don't long the handle, you long the breakout of the horizontal or diagonal resistance. You can certainly long the handle to the diagonal horizontal resistance and get out there, but staying in is super, super risky. And you'll see that on all these charts, none of the cup and handles played out, partly because Bitcoin is pumping, obviously. So Factum, again, on the daily, zoomed in a little bit. Again, I'm showing this Kijun bounce, which is a gift from the cloud gods because it's saying continuation is super likely when you get wicks like this into the resistance zone. Okay. In this case, continuation is bearish continuation. So this is a super safe short. Super safe, okay. Now this might sort of drift down. I don't know how much farther it's going to go down, but it's a little too early to tell. Again, any triangle point is always support resistance, and it's possible that this just goes sideways and then goes through the cloud to the flat Kumo. LISK daily, there's 2 pitchforks for LISK. I'm not really sure which one makes more sense. I kind of like this one because it takes into account more data. But again, basically what this is saying in a downtrending pitchfork, sell here, buy here, or even buy the midline, sell this quartile zone. A little tighter here. I don't know if either of these are too much value for anybody, but something to certainly look at. Again, if I keep the pitchfork from the higher time frame and move down to the lower time frame, helps me with support resistance zones. So if you're expecting this to go lower, this would be your exit, or your long entry, your short exit, something like that. And this would be your short entry, long exit, somewhere up here, Kijun. Overall, no signs of strength though. There's some bull div, I guess, but I'm not really seeing much on LISK. Litecoin, BTC, LTCBTC, super bearish. Rock has not hit rock bottom yet, I don't think. If we look at this RSI trend line, it can definitely go lower. Certainly your targets can be the Tenkin and the Kijun. Again, repeated Tenkin bounces are a mega bearish sign that this is continuation city, either whenever it's bullish or bearish, okay? In this case, it's bearish. And then should something insane happen, this would be your resistance up here at 0.01. Again, why? Because there's some wiki business over here. But it basically looks like someone tried to hold it up and then it just didn't get held up anymore. If we move to the 4-hour LTCBTC, again, some of your targets. These are the previous targets from the higher time frame, and then this is the Kijun. It looks like it was selling off when I printed this chart, but your horizontal resistance would be this before this large candle. So you can see it wants to fill the gap. It tried to fill the gap to 50% fib and couldn't hold it. So that would be your next bullish target up there. And then this would be the target from higher time frame. Litecoin dollar on BTCE. I wasn't sure, someone asked for it, but I didn't know which time frame or which exchange was best, so I just went with BTCE. Basically, I'm seeing a big buy zone right now between $3 and $3.50, $3.60, with the target being around $4.80, just based on, again, 50% fibs or flat Kumo, that sort of thing. It can certainly go lower. The next zone down would be around $2.50. And if we zoom in on the daily with that, you can see there's tons of buy zone support. Again, triangle, horizontal. The point of the triangle is definitely a support resistance line. And then all these wicks are definitely support resistance. So anything in this zone is a buy if you're looking to hold long term, which I'm definitely not, but should that interest you. I've got a friend that's all he holds is Litecoin, so those people do exist. And then your bullish targets again would be flat Kumo in this previous high, 5.4 wiki business. MAID safe coin. This was another failed cup and handle. You can see we had the cup, didn't quite make the handle. Although arguably this could have been a handle and it just never broke out. Whatever, either way, failed cup and handle. Another example of waiting, being patient with patterns. Daily is showing a lot of strength. This is what I'd consider an edge-to-edge cloud trade. So anytime a candle close in the cloud occurs, you can expect some probability that the other edge of the cloud will be hit. So that on top of the fact that this is a flat Kumo, so flat Kumo equals magnet, you can expect that level to be hit with some probability. So together, that says it's probably going to hit this zone eventually. It can certainly go sideways, go all the way down, and then go all the way up. When it's in the cloud like this, that means it's range bound. But you can see here, this is an example, just looking on this chart. Once we started to get into the cloud here, it broke out and went to the other side of the cloud. So based on that knowledge and that standpoint on the daily, you can zoom down. Here's the EMAs as well. I'm just showing another way to play any of these charts is just sort of EMA to EMA. Anytime you see a really wide gap like this, it sort of says it's either overbought or oversold. And then, your risky entries could be a certain distance from the EMA with sort of certain confirmations. In this case, it was a tweezer bottom. In this case, it was a spinning top, tweezer bottom thing, trident, whatever you want to call it. So that's another way to play all this stuff if you don't like cloud or don't understand or don't care. So based on the daily idea that this is pumping and going to go much higher, let's look at the 4 hour, and I'm saying bullish entry signals, everything said yes. Your first entry was a Kumo breakout. Your latest long entry signal was the bullish Kumo twist, so this happens 30 periods ahead of price. So on this candle was your safest long entry for the most profit based on the cloud. This is showing a lot of TK disequilibrium. It's showing a great distance from the Kijun, so it's screaming pullback right now. Your target would be the Kijun. Again, you're seeing resistance turn support. That's what you want to see. Nautilus coin on the daily, which might be, brace yourself, the diamond in the rough of all this garbage. Okay, so why am I so bullish on Nautilus coin? Well, there's some annotations here from before. I said this was a buy zone. It turns out it didn't really work out for you if you bought here. Sorry. I was saying there was a hidden bull dip. Whether or not there was, I don't know. But this time is different, and I'm saying definitely a buy here because what you're looking at is a falling wedge plus TK disequilibrium plus a bull div. Your stop can be somewhere below this 2923 zone. Your first bullish target would be the 1688 Kijun, and then should it get cloud entry, you could get a Kumo edge-to-edge situation with the flat Kumo magnet, high probability, blah, 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 however you want to say that. So there's lots of reasons to buy Nautilus. I think of all the coins and all the charts I'm looking at, this is definitely the one I'm the most bullish on. Namecoin on the weekly, just death, sadness, no hope. Just like, I can't even describe into words how sad this chart looks, but yeah, it's definitely not a buy, obviously. If I zoom in on the daily, I'm saying there is a bull div, so there's some evidence for buying, for bearish momentum waning, and rather. Your TK cross would be a short close signal. Doesn't really look close to that, but Again, this is a great example of a Kijun bounce. You're seeing wicks into resistance, which is a short entry signal. So your asks could just be here this whole time, and then, oh look, boom. You're in the money. You're laughing, as they say in the UK. So I put this on here jokingly, but bullish entry signals, we've not hit any according to the cloud, obviously. Your targets, these are from Kijun and Tenkin and Kijun from the weekly, and then this is just a flat Kumo target, but it's pretty bearish, and that's an optimistic target for sure. NXT, kind of similar to Nautilus, now that I look at it a second time. Same sort of thing, falling wedge, bull div, not much of a TK disequilibrium here, but this could go from here to here pretty quick just based on this cloud. Again, this is a flat Kumo, this is a 50% fib, so it definitely looks like it's at the bottom of the range. The safer entry would probably be a TK cross, telling you to close your short, and then a break of this horizontal level as far as the candle close is concerned. Pure coin, just like Namecoin, nothing but sadness and despair on the weekly. On the daily, again, bullish entry signals, nada, goose egg, nothing. There is certainly some sort of bull div happening, telling you that bearish momentum is either resetting or slowing down, however you want to say that. But basically I'm saying short the bounce, just like Namecoin. Here's an example of a short setup, how that might look. Your asks would be at the Kijun and your stop would be at the cloud. And you can see that when the Kijun is super close to the cloud, you get a pretty good risk-reward ratio. Your target would be just, again, a local low. So you can certainly hold it longer than that, but that's probably the easiest trade as far as the money's concerned. Shadow coin, no one asked for this, no one wanted this, but I gave it to you anyway, god damn it. So it looks like there is a flag of some kind, a descending triangle, which is generally a continuation signal down for bears. It's bear food. But there is a bit of a div of some kind, definitely resetting at least to the RSI. There is a super long flat Kumo here though. This is probably the longest flat Kumo on any time frame of any chart I've seen. At least definitely one of the longest. So if this doesn't go any lower, I think this 1909 level is definitely high probability. Shadow coin on the daily, if it does go lower, I think it's going to go much lower. Down here, this support, wiki business again, resistance turns support, somewhere around 8.5, I don't know. But it sort of looks like it's a no man's land and seems oversold. RSI wants it to flip over. It's hard to say if it's a buy. It's definitely in the middle. I would definitely watch it though because it's getting close to this descending triangle decision time. Veracoin, again, repeated Tenkin bounces just all the way down. Nothing but bearish despair. There is signs of strength, however, with a bull div, just like on a lot of these charts. And again, the short setup would be asks at the Kijun, stop somewhere in the cloud. In this case, since the cloud isn't flat, it's sort of curvy because it is dynamic resistance and support. You can always use the Kijun level here as your stop. There's a bit of a flat Kumo here, so your target for up would be around this level. Should it break the cloud, it could go from here to here. So if you do get stopped out, you can always flip that short to a long. XCP, some notes on here from last time. I was all about this flat Kumo. Super excited that it went into the cloud, but it didn't happen. I did mention that if it broke the lower limit of the pitchfork, that would be bearish. So I'll say that saved me as far as that prediction's concerned. But yeah, definitely not bullish. But it's definitely showing a lot of reversal signs, I think. Definitely put this high on the watch list. Again, repeated Tenkin bounces, mega bearish, but it's starting to show inverted head and shoulders type deal with a bull div, with a massive TK disequilibrium, saying it's super oversold. So I'm saying considering closing your short and opening a long in these conditions. And if I measure that inverted head and shoulders that hasn't completed yet, the target comes out to around here, 0.005. Let's just say the Kijun is here as well, so there's a lot of confluence for resistance target around this area. So XCP, definitely watch that one. And because the daily is showing me signs of bullishness, I'm moving down to the 4 hour to look at it a little better. You can see our bullish entry checklist almost there. So knowing what we know on the daily, you can move down to the 4 hour, take a long when the Kumo twist happens, which should happen pretty soon. So this kind of look like a flag wedge thing that should break up and not break down. XEM, never heard of this one. Somebody asked me about this. Again, Kijun bounce is where the money's at, baby. Triple wicks into resistance, mega short signal. Watch it, watch for it. It'll be there all the time. So yeah, that's what I'm saying here. No signs of strength, I don't think. Maybe bull div, but I don't know. Your targets would be Kijun, Kumo, and then this 153 because it's the 50% here. If we move down to the 4 hour, not much as far as the bullish entry signals are concerned. You certainly have the bullish TK cross. That's always like the earliest. You know, if you want to get in at any TK cross on any place in the cloud, go for it, but it's definitely not advised. But certainly, you know, that could be your long entry signal, which would have been somewhere around here. There's even this edge-to-edge thing. If you zoomed all the way in, you could see that edge-to-edge plus flat Kumo. So that's an example of how these trades play out. But I don't think you should currently be long, certainly. Monero, really nice pitchfork on Monero. Again, buy zone, sell zone. Median line is the high probability line, so price will want to return to there over and over and over again. Trade that as you will. In this case, it was resistance. Here it was resistance as well. So this is sort of dynamic because it's a diagonal. So if I use that diagonal on a lower time frame, going from the weekly to the daily, you can sort of see what happened here. This is actually pretty weird that there was a bullish TK cross and then it went into the cloud but then didn't make it further. So that kind of says the median line is super valuable here because it sort of outruled everything else. Should it break this median line cleanly, you can expect it definitely to hit this 145 level. Over here I'm just pointing out previous 3 drives with the bear div on that. XRP Ripple. Some ABC stuff here, definitely near the buy zone for Ripple, if you believe Ripple's a thing. And then your resistance would be Tenkin and Kijun, this 1283 and 1675 level. Ripple on the daily, there is a bull div into support, which is what you want to see for a long entry signal, as well as a TK disequilibrium, which I've talked about over and over and over again. So again, consider closing your short, opening a long. Your target would be Tenkin to Kijun or Cloud, and then your next targets up would be from the higher time frame, the Tenkin and the Kijun here. Here's the failed cup and handle on Ripple. This one actually looked like it was going to go, but didn't, so I don't really know what happened here. There might have been some fundamental reasons why it didn't continue. So how you should have played this was wait for the cup and handle, long the break of the horizontal resistance, and then your stop could be either the horizontal resistance or slightly lower than that. So you could have, you basically would have been stopped out twice, I think, and it wouldn't have been the greatest, but that's an example of how to save your butt on these failed cup and handles. I think this is hilarious. I know I didn't initially know it wasn't an ICO. I don't really care, but this Zcash chart is just great. 2800 Bitcoin, whatever. Anyway, it's super funny. Last chart of the video, Zcash on the 4 hour. Because the weekly looks like this, definitely the most bearish of any chart on the weekly. You can't be thinking, I'm gonna find the bottom. This is gonna be it. No, just let it happen. Let it happen, man. Let it be organic, okay? So I'm saying how to find the signs of a bottom. With the cloud, it would be this green line, lagging span, moving into the price, or it would be a bullish TK cross, which are these lines here, or a bullish Kumo twist. Other stuff you can look for are in the candlesticks, dragonfly candlestick, tweezer bottom, inverted head and shoulders, falling wedge, or a bull div. You can see none of that here, okay? Something else worth pointing out is I talk a lot about TK cross, recross. So a bullish TK cross below the cloud is always a closed short signal. Bullish cross below the cloud, closed short. If you get a bearish cross here, red over blue, below the cloud, that's always an open short signal. Especially if if it looks like this. It's sort of wavy. If it's not ranged and flat, I don't have an example of that to show anybody, but this is a really good example of a high probability continuation. It goes into the cloud, it gets denied, all that screams resistance, and a great short opportunity. So again, if you made it this far, like, dislike, share, subscribe, comment. If I missed a coin that you love, let me know in the comments. I respond to everybody, so feel free to hit me up, Twitter, Telegram. And happy trading.